And I will also turn it on in a little bit on speaker for before it just gonna be really. And we have someone else coming. We have Desiree coming also with us. So yes, very nice. So if you can stay, hey Desiree, so good to see you, girl. Very nice. Could you tell us where you are coming from? We have people, if you look at the chat, you will see that we have people from all over the US joining us. Karen, if you can, if that's okay for you, you can. Okay, we have two Karens. We have just kind of, you have probably one phone and one probably just, okay, that's fine. Very nice. Well, welcome. Welcome everybody here. This is going to be a beautiful hour, that we will have together. I really want to acknowledge you that you have made this next 60 minutes available, to yourself and to, we have other people coming, to 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 find out a little bit just about what it's like to experience women's immersion, and it will be of course just from the perspective of what I have been doing and I have been creating in these containers. And so I was thinking that first what I really would love to start with is, if you would really like to get the most out, of this experience, I really would like you to just turn your phones on mute and make sure that you won't be, disturbed for next, 55 minutes or so, so that you can have a really wonderful time just to listen, not only so much just kind of from here, but just there will be something that can resonate, with you, because there is a reason that each of you have been here. And so my desire for just this webinar is that I really would like to first share a little bit what it's like, to have that type of an experience, to come, to this. And then I would love to then a little bit open it to you. If there are just any comments, anything that has come up, we will just kind of, devote then the last part, of the call to any questions, any follow-ups, anything that just kind of you might be interested in. So I know a lot of people here, but I also do not know some of you. So I would like to first, introduce myself. My name is Olga Campora. You can hear the accent. Originally, I come from the Czech Republic, and I live since 1991 in United States, and I live in Maryland, between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, in a beautiful city that is called Ellicott City. And I have been someone who I feel have always been, interested in, I would call it just the whole process of becoming who, we are becoming through this journey of life. And I think it started when I was very, very little. I know that when I would go to the libraries, I would be so drawn to the books that spoke about either some sort of a development, personal development, or I was really interested in biographies. Because I always felt that when I was reading about someone, that it just has lifted, my spirit. And I almost felt like those were my very first guides as a little kid. I was seeing in these people like Albert Schweitzer or Albert Einstein or Tolstoy or, other people like that. I was just seeing, people who really have made some difference, around them, not only in their lives, but in the lives of other people. And I think that was something that was carrying me on really, since I was little through my teenage years and then even up to today. And just to create a very short narrative to it, when I was 18 years old, I think I just, that was the first time that I have met somebody that I would call really an incredible mentor. And he really has introduced me not only to the personal development on a completely new level, but I think that thanks to him, I have really come to discover God. And that has been something that is a huge part of my journey. We can call it universe, love, Joshua, whatever just, the word is, for you, or nature. I know that everybody relates, to these things in a different terms. But it was a really very instrumental time in my life. And as I was doing this just kind of deep discovery who Olga was, I came across also to yoga, and I started practicing yoga, and was so passionate, about that, and especially about the part of meditation and contemplation. I did love doing poses, but what was really very, very intriguing to me was really the whole process of meditation and concentration and contemplation. And I think that that had led me then eventually to just kind of being more interested in those, in that path. And it was in those years when we started with my mentor hosting these beautiful summer immersions and retreats. And I could see then how transformational these, retreats were for people. And I want you to know that for those of you who might, some of you might know, but, the Czech Republic was not always free country. I was really growing up in communist Czechoslovakia. And so it was completely a different way of, thinking and going about the life, and just how you could present yourself in a public. And so people were scared, and people were living really from the place of scarcity. And so seeing what took place in these retreats that we had each summer, we would have like 4 or 5 of them, and they would last for a whole week. And we would have in each of them about 30, 35 people. So they were big gatherings, And the reason I'm sharing that with you is that as I look back, at this experience that I have had, there was something very unique about these retreats that took place at the sunset time. In yoga, we call this time as a satsang time. And it's just, people really gather, together. Usually people gather in a circle, and people just share about just, their life experience. And so each evening we would walk into the nature by beautiful wheat field, and we would gather under the trees in this little circle. So you can kind of imagine about 35 people, sitting in a semi-circle. And each evening we would introduce what we call a soul vitamin. Soul vitamin. And it would be one day it would be about joy, another day would be about gratitude. We spoke about awe, AWE. We spoke about excitement for life. And these were very interesting topics because I realized that it was at those times in the evening when people really open up to start sharing, about their lives. During the day, we would have, these workshops. We would be, of course, working with the body, breath work and meditation and moving and all that stuff. At that time, people just, would really have a chance to speak from their heart. And when I look back, I know that those satsangs, they were the most transformational part of the entire retreat. Because as we would walk from that satsang, on a little nice path, and it took about, I would say, again, 15 minutes to get back to the place, to the ranch where we were. Those were the most incredible conversations that I have had at that time when I was just 20, 21 years old person who was just co-hosting, these retreats with my mentor and with a couple of other people. And and I know that just kind of that what was taking place in those evenings, because they had a chance to share from their heart and then talking on the way back to other people, it created a beautiful community, and it created really the sense of transformation in them that lasted not only that week while they were at the retreat, but it lasted for their lifetimes. I mean, I get still letters or emails today, after so many years, people still remember the experiences and how that really changed their lives. And so when I came here to US, I started also hosting, these retreats, and I started hosting them really as a yoga retreats, because that's what I was, really doing. I was a yoga therapist, really loved the work, and I felt like, that there is something just kind of to that work for people to get away from all the buzz, just set a time, for themselves, that they don't have to worry about anything, and just tune into what's going on in their lives and just to fill the cup. Okay. And so I was doing this for, I would say, 6, 8 years. I was doing them here in Maryland and a couple of other places. And it was before pandemic when I got into this journey of life coaching. As I was still working on my business, within a week, I had to change my business basically from local and in person to just either do or die. And I just turned it in a week into on a Zoom. And you know what happens when you turn it on a Zoom is that, friends will take the other friends. And suddenly I had people just coming, to my yoga offerings that were from all different kind of parts of US and Europe and Australia and UK. And it just happened like within, like 2 months. And as I was, going through this just change of my business, I came across of this podcast, and it was a life coach. And I started listening to it, and I was like, this is, this is, this is just kind of, something that I know that I'm really called to do. And so I really dove into it and just, got the registration. But as soon as I went through this process, I realized that mainly I was really working on myself, because there is just no way to create transformation for other people without being transformed, yourself, right? And so it was a beautiful just kind of journey, and I would call it, I coached my head off, because I had pretty large, community develop online. I just told people, hey, this is what I have been doing. And if you are interested, in to explore it, just, like connect with me and we can have a coaching session. So when I look back, oh my goodness, there was just kind of some really interesting coaching sessions that I have offered. But I give myself just kudos. I give myself a credit that I just jump in. I just jump in, and I was, coaching my head off, because I really wanted to be good in that skill, because I realized how important, it is to realize that suffering is optional, no matter what's going on in our lives. The circumstances of our lives don't have anything to do with just kind of, what we create. It has everything to do with the focus that we have in our lives. And so as I started doing that, I was getting better. I was getting better. I was getting better, right? My business started to grow, and I've been doing both, even today. I love just kind of, doing yoga, and my coaching business took completely on a new level as well, right? But, as this was taking place, I started, I kept doing the retreats after as soon as pandemic finished, immediately after that, I just started doing them. But I really changed it. I just, started more looking into these retreats as really offering people really transformation. And I know that that word can, sound really, really big, but I just was thinking, yes, I want to offer people to really take rest and renew and rejuvenate. Yet I want to create something in these retreats that is going to last beyond the time that we will be together. And that's how I started implementing, the whole coaching journey that, I have been on. And so it has been past, 4 years that I really pivoted my retreats into really truly being transformational. And also, I just have focused on women because I realized when you create a retreat when there is just either only women or only men, the the level of and depth of the conversation is much deeper than otherwise. I'm not saying that it cannot be created, but it comes more naturally when women are together or when men are only together, that there are certain topics that come up that is more comfortable, for them to explore if they're with other people or other just kind of, women who might have had a similar experience or other men, who had a similar experience. And so as I started just, creating this, I also went through, a process, of myself, creating myself into this, like how to make it better, how this next one is the best ever one, that I have ever had, and so that has come to this past, I think, just probably last 3 or 4, immersions that I have done that truly have been mind blowing to me in a sense how I see the transformation has been lasting transformation for these women. And what I mean by that is that they have experienced something during the retreat that completely took them on a new just journey of life. And so I will kind of, share a little bit, about a couple of just kind of, experiences that just, I was just hosting a retreat in Florida. And it was about beautiful 12 women, together. And what was really beautiful was that there was there was created such a beautiful just kind of community, and there is art to it. Okay, and I can of course talk about those things, how really important when you come is help people to learn how to listen, how to bring the highest level of listening. Also, we created some very clear agreements how we are going about, sharing and just kind of, speaking, about things. That was very, very important so that there were not created expectations that will be never ever met, that we were clear what we were creating there and that it was a completely safety zone. Okay. And what just kind of was really incredible to me is at this one is I will give you an example of one woman who came, beautiful woman. And as we are going through the work that we were doing, there was something that was coming up, okay? And I just told him, are you willing to come just kind of to sit with me? So we are sitting in a circle and I was just kind of like, at one side. So she came, she put a chair and we started speaking, I was starting asking questions. And to make the story short, is it's someone who was abused as a child. And the narrative that this person had about, herself was that she is not worthy and she is filthy. And you would never, I mean, if you saw that woman, you would never ever guess that. Now, I want to say something, life coaching is completely different from therapy. My thing is not just kind of, really, help people to get over, the trauma. That's not my work. Coaching It's completely about moving people into the future. What is possible? Taking in consideration just kind of, what has been taking place in your life, what we can create it. And there is definitely just kind of part when people need to just kind of, go through that part of therapy and work just kind of on the past so that they can actually have an opportunity to move into the future. So as we talk, we go just kind of, through this process talking to together, and I was coaching her, and from that whole coaching just kind of, exchange that took approximately about 25 minutes. There was a incredible change that took place in her. And don't want to talk about the details, what I was talking about or how we were going about it. But what I was seeing is that in front of my eyes, this woman was changing completely, just kind of her completion, the way she just kind of came to understanding that she is pure, she's lovable, and she's worthy, and she's free. And it was just so, remarkable. And I know that you probably have been, there are some coaches here that you have been in a probably similar situation, as I am, describing. Yet the reason I'm just kind of pointing on this specific experience is that she just kind of looked at me and she told me, Olga, I have done therapy on this for 38 years. And what you have done in 25 minutes has completely changed my life. Can you imagine? So 38 years, that's about in 25 minutes. 38 years, it's about 20 million minutes. 20 million minutes. Now, the reason I am saying that is that just, she thought that she has done enough work to really be happy and handle herself really well. This is a very successful woman. And she really just kind of felt like, I got this, and she has a beautiful marriage, and all, she was able to just kind of, manage through it. But what she discovered in that kind of coaching conversation was completely mind-blowing, because we created completely a different story about just kind of what she experienced. Of course, what she experienced, you cannot make anything, the circumstance is a circumstance. We don't make anything lighter. We cannot change that. Yet, we have the full power to change what we choose to think about it. And that was so powerful for her to realize that she can think about this in a different narrative, in a different way. And as the coaching went on about 25 minutes, she not only got it, but she experienced it, in her body. And then there are things just kind of that happen just, in immersions, like we are there and somebody says, can we pick her up and can we just hold her? And I just says, well, we have agreements here, right? So I just said, I will call her maybe Jane, okay? I'd say, Jane, is it okay for you if these other women would pick you up and hold you in the new truth that you found about yourself? That I'm pure, I'm whole. And she was like, yeah, I do. And so all of us picked her up and we hold her. And it was just such a really incredible and beautiful moment, because you could really, really just kind of feel how these other women were mothering, this beautiful woman. And, it has never happened to me, anything like that, but I can imagine how powerful just kind of it was. I was a part of it, of someone who was giving the support, right? And she was the one who was receiving it. And then it was so beautiful because in the afternoon she was able to go on a beach for a walk. And she just said there was nobody on a beach, Olga. And I was just, from the top of my lungs, I was just kind of screaming, I am whole, I'm pure, I'm lovable. And this is just only one example of many. This one is just to me really remarkable to realize that somebody was able to drop just kind of, 38 years of a story that just kind of really hasn't served her and was able to recreate herself just, in completely someone else. And so that's the experience that just kind of, is in the immersions that, I'm so happy to meet these women where they are. And the way what we do is I don't have any agenda. I used to have. But what I do now is I have just this big, wide, just kind of, screen board, and I just tell them the first day when we just kind of are together, write anything on that board that you would, what you would like to take with you home from this retreat. Or what is it that is just kind of holding you back? And I promise you that this whiteboard is going to be white at the end of the retreat. And that's what just kind of things. So they are the agenda. And we go through everything, what is there. Because if anybody has a problem, with money or with marriage, do you think it's only one person? There are other people, right? And so it's so beautiful just kind of, to hold that container, with these women and so uniquely and in such a special way that the women are capable just to discover something completely new about something that can be heavy or has been heavy for a long time. And so what is really also beautiful is that not only that we, talk, all only, in a circle, but we just kind of divide, in groups of 2 or 3 or 4 or 6. That's what is so nice about number 12, right? So that the women have enough experience to be able to get to know each other. And so many times people come to these, retreats, and these retreats are not about giving people like some tools to, like manage. It goes really to the core of who we are being and how we can recreate ourselves from the purity and the depth of who we all of us are. It is beautiful, divine, beautiful daughters of God, or beautiful daughters of this beautiful universe that we are living in. And it's just such a really incredible creation to be able just kind of to be, with these women. And just to close this so that, I can give you time to also ask, questions or talk from your experience, if you want to share, is that what is really, completely new that I've been doing this past 3 or 4, immersions is that I really pay a lot of attention what happens before the immersion. So when I have people who are interested, I have always either in person, if it's somebody local, or on a Zoom, we have a conversation. And there are instances when I say, do you know what? I think that this might not be really great for you yet. Here is the things that I think if you would do would really serve you to come just, next time, for the immersion. So I want to make sure that when people come, that they are ready. And the second thing is that I do offer, a coaching experience before, the immersion. so that people know what it's like, because a lot of people don't have any experience what the coaching is, about. They think that I'm just, fixing somebody and telling them what to do and giving them the tools, and coaching is not about that at all. So giving people just, and these women experience what it's like, and creating actually already change, during that, coaching session. It's kind of like a preparation for, the immersion, because I tell them, you already started your transformation the day you have registered for this. That's where your transformation, has started. And so there might be some resources I might share, with each woman. It depends, where she is, what she needs. It can be a book, it can be to watch something, okay? It can be just, something to read, that I feel that would be helpful for her. So I'm actually helping her to get already just kind of some return, before she comes into the immersion. And what we also do is I always host, like, we have just kind of, this webinar, so when the 12 women just kind of, when we close the registration, we have usually one or two webinars before, the immersion, where we really talk about just, what, is taking place, what it's going to be like. So again, so that they can have, clarity what we are creating. And again, if it's still not something that they might kind of, consider, then that they can just kind of say, no, it has never happened to me, but it's just kind of, they have the experience what it's going to be, like. And the other thing is that I encourage them, each of them, to connect with each other. If it's even a small and short conversation. So when these women come, when these 12 women come to the immersion, they already know a little bit something about each of the women. They at least know where they are from, how old they are, maybe what their hobbies are, okay, or what just kind of, they are excited about, what is their life like a little bit. So they have a little bit just kind of, understanding, because they would have already conversation, with their friends. So the major part, of the success of, these immersions is really the prep part, and then of course we just kind of, have the experience being together for about, 3 or 4 nights. I do now. And then, right after that, I have, that's all included. I have just kind of a coaching session afterwards, the implementation of what's happening. So I don't let just kind of these women just drop in the world and, okay, guys, you had this experience and go and do something with that. Because one thing is just, as all of you know, is that the support and in some ways guide is really, really important as we start, new journey. And so it would be like, we are climbing the mountain and I'm on the retreat. I'm just basically the guide, making sure that we stay on a path and we reach just kind of, the summit, right? But then also we are climbing down from the summit down back into the valley of life. And that is the most important part. What happens after, the immersion. I just finished, just before we went, I just had, a coaching session with one of the participants from the Florida retreat. And it was so amazing to hear. So this is already, we had it sometime in the middle of April. So we are starting May. So it has been about 3 weeks. Okay. Usually when you go to these things, people just kind of, are excited just maybe 3, 4 days after that, or a week, or maybe just kind of, a little longer, but then it just kind of, goes away, right? Have you been in those experiences? Even going on a vacation, it feels so great, everything, and then you think that you stay in contact with people, you don't, because life takes on, you know? And so most of the cases, but what is so beautiful, and I'm honestly so proud just kind of, of the work that these women have done, at the retreat, that just I see just kind of, what they are creating in their families, like this particular, young woman, when she was at the immersion, she had this narrative that she's better in the marriage than her husband. That was her narrative, right? I'm a better person in this marriage. That was her story. Do you know how much of suffering that story brought to her? Because of course, when you speak something like that, you will find she found evidence everywhere that she's better and he's worse. Do you think that it worked for them? It didn't. It didn't. Even though she was doing some things better than he did, but having the narrative that I'm better in this marriage than my husband is, it didn't help. So there was one thing just kind of that I encourage her to do. And that was, we were talking about the power of acknowledgement, and that is looking for the beauty and the good in other person. Start just really looking into it and speaking it. And so as I was, that was one of those things. But as I was speaking with her today, as we are coaching together, she just told me, Olga, it was hard in the beginning. It was literally like I was flexing some muscles that I just didn't even know that I have had. And she said, it was so humbling. And I was like, tell me a little bit more about it. How talking about good things that you see in your husband has been humbling. She says, well, I realized that narrative, how silly it was. Just seeing him that he's worse than I am. And I realized, it's not true. I think that there are just kind of, and so she just says it's really incredible that it's just kind of, like she sees what kind of, effect it has, on her, children and also on her marriage. She's not doing it to change her husband. She's not doing it to change her kids. She's doing this because this is who she is. And it's just so beautiful just, to see what a ripple effect it has, in her, realizing, I am the one who is responsible, in creating the happiness in my life. I am the one who just kind of, I cannot, ask everybody else, please take care of me so that I am happy because, the happiness starts the way how we relate, to ourselves, right? And it was so beautiful. She told me, like, she's someone who goes, to church, every Sunday. And she just said, Olga, last Sunday, you can imagine each kid different shoe, different just, socks didn't match. We were running a time and I was like, it was almost let's just throw it in a towel, situation. And she just says that happened in the past. But she paused in the car and she turned back to the kids and she just told them, guys, I really, really feel that this is something important for me to go today. That's all what just kind of, she said. And they made it. But the reason I'm sharing that because she has said, Olga, when I said that, it was just so genuine. I felt it was genuine. I did say that because I really meant it. I really meant it that it was, I need it for me. you know it was not like, hey, we have to get there, and if we don't get there on time it's going to be a disaster. She just completely, dropped that, and the awareness came, like, but she said that we were driving and I felt like, wow, this was so genuine what I said. I really, really meant it. And I just, I told her, this is so beautiful that you just, are gaining such an incredible awareness of how you can really create, each moment, the way you speak about it and really what feels just kind of, true to you. So I just have given you some little examples, a little bit just kind of a taste, what it's like, to be in that space. But I really want to open up now, this space to you guys. And from whatever you have heard, or maybe some other questions that you might have, I'm really now just, open to you. I'm sure that I haven't covered completely just every single detail, not at all. I know that I probably covered very small, thing, but I wonder, what has brought you, here, in this container, and especially just kind of, talking about the topic that we do. Anybody would like to share something on that? Why did you come here?
I can break the ice if we need to.
I can too, whenever you're done.
Okay, let me see if we can.
Um, let's see. Long story short, some physical health issues have resulted and meeting with a functional medicine nutritionist wanting to handle things properly and naturally versus starting to do drastic things. And one of the things that she pointed out was you're dealing with a lot of stress. And I've always known that, but I've always thought it's just the way life is. And then I was talking with my husband, I realized it's not the way life has to be. That's why I came.
Wow. Well, that's a shift, right? That's amazing. It's just the way life is, and it doesn't have to be. What, if I may ask you, what has changed since that realization for you?
The biggest difference right now is how slow I'm taking that. Instead of, oh, I've got to figure this out. I've got to, make these changes, whatever. I'm just kind of going, okay, we're going to ponder on this one question. It doesn't have to be fixed today, because that was something she even said. She goes, you don't need to fix this today. We're going to do this. So the nutritional aspect is actually going to take about 7 months. But as far as the life changes that she wanted me to just ponder on, she said, "Yeah, take your time." And so that relieved a lot of stress right there. It was like, oh, I don't have to fix this overnight. Um, I am very much a go-getter, doer, fixer, and so this became a acceptance, and it will be fixed at the right time in the right way.
Thank you, Elise. Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Elise.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
It's just so beautiful to realize how really, and that's one of the things that I have learned really over this past, 6, 7 years, um, more clearly understanding how language creates, right? It's just like you said, it takes some time to change the narrative, but it also just kind of, feels so different when we just step away from I have to and realize I choose to, or, different language around it, right? It's just small little things, like I have to exercise this morning. I choose to exercise this morning, right? It's just so really incredible how, our language creates and how beautifully you just kind of have been recreating that. It's really beautiful and all the best, with the healing. Yes. Thank you, Elise.
Thank
Anything
you very
else?
much, Olga. Appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. I love you. I love you
Love
very
you
much.
too.
We go
Love you
back
too.
with Elise we haven't
A
seen
long,
each other for a while, right?
but we go back. It's like we've never missed each other. That's good.
That's right. Very nice. And I will be in Colorado. I will be
Hmm.
speaking there, just kind of, in
Yep.
September. So looking forward to see you then.
Me
Beautiful.
too. Thank you.
Wonderful. Anybody else? This was beautiful. Can you see that? It's just, I just love, guys, what you can hear and what you can just kind of gain for yourself already from what Elise shared, right? That's exactly just kind of what is taking place, and in that type of a container that we really change, just kind of, we realize that we have a choice to change the narrative. And there is a process to it. It's not like, oh, I'm thinking black, so I will be thinking white. There is really a process to it. So it's not an affirmations. We are not doing anything at the retreats as the affirmation. It's a really deep work that just kind of, really helps us, get into the core of, real truth that is about ourselves. So thank you. Anybody else? We still have about 10 minutes.
I'd like to share a little bit. Um, I was drawn here. And I think it's kind of a funny little experience because when I did see your post that you had there, and I saw that it was today, and this was last night that I viewed that, and I felt, I heard, if it is to be, it will be. And so, because I think I feel that I have a purpose and a journey and a light, um, and I was drawn to the light, and that light was you at the time. Even though I didn't know anything about you, I didn't know. I just read that little blurb, and I thought, interesting. This is very intriguing to me. I want to know more. Because I believe that we are beacons. I believe that we are here for a purpose to draw others to us, to help share and build and I want to say endorse and bring the best out of each other because that is the purpose of community, of family, of friendships, of all of those things is to build and to pull others and bring them up from wherever they may be. And we've all been in some trench somewhere, and so it's a loving experience to be in a container where that can be felt and experienced, and then where you can build upon that outside of that container. But you always have the container, to have that. And I don't mean container in the aspect of a box that you're in. I believe it's vast. I believe it's universal, and whether we talk of God or source or the energy, whatever it may be, there's a good purpose to it. And there's always going to be opposition to it as well. And so we need to understand who we are at the core, as you say. And I think it's a blessing when you get a little insight of the power that you hold and the person that you are and the influence that you can be in helping draw others to be who they can be. So I just appreciate being able to be here and to experience a little bit of that, and just in this short time, not like you said, not all the nuts and bolts, not all the ins and outs, but it's a spiritual light, it's a spiritual lifting. It's at the core of who we are. So thank you.
Thank you, Ginger. Guys, I wanted to tell you, Ginger didn't know me 24 hours ago. That's the truth.
God works
So,
in mysterious ways.
I know that Malia, she was just kind of at the beginning of the call, but what happened was, she had a birthday yesterday, so we can sing, but it's kind of going to be, I know that doesn't work on Zoom, so we will pretend
That's great.
but we wish you very happy birthday. But
Thank you.
one of her friends, wished her happy birthday, and she just happened to look at their page, and there was a, thing that was with me there on the page. And so that's how she kind of like, oh, this is interesting. And so I get like, guys, I got up, I think it was today. I got up today very early. I was actually up, I think around 5 a.m.
And I was up late at 2 a.m.
I
So I
was
was
like,
going,
if she's in Arizona, this is 2 a.m., And so, I was like, I can text her because, I saw that she wanted, she was interested if she can come, and so I sent her on a Facebook Messenger and within a second I get the reply. And I was like, wait a minute, that's 2 o'clock in the morning.
my
So
mind was going.
you know, yeah, so I just want to really acknowledge you, Ginger, just that you just, follow the nudge. And I also want to let you know, guys, I will be holding another webinar of just kind of, this way, and it's never ever same. Okay. There are always different things to talk about. It will be in June 16 on Tuesday, but it's going to be at noon because I have some people from UK who wanted to come, and this is for them is midnight. So they said we cannot come at midnight. But I just kind of there. It's on my Facebook page, and of course I'm doing another immersion in September here in Maryland. So if you are interested to a little bit more know about it, I can have a conversation with that with no strings attached. If you are interested, I can tell you more about that. Okay. So thank you, Ginger.
Thank
Awesome. I
you.
love this. That's a miracle. I love that. And I hope that what you are hearing here from everyone, from Elise and other people who will share Fiona and Desiree, that it's going to just kind of lift your spirit. I love you, Ginger.
Love you too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Beautiful. Wonderful, Fiona. I have to tell you guys something about Fiona. Fiona, she has been in the same amazing and incredible coaching school as Desiree. She was also a Malia too. It's the AGC, international coaching school that, is in London. So we travel, a lot to London with these ladies, learning just, skills. And there are coaches that are from all over the world, top class coaches. And so now, I'm so glad that just kind of Desiree has a chance to. But where did Fiona disappear? Or she's all the
Yeah.
way down there. Okay.
Yeah, I
I
think it read my hand, so it's moved me.
Yes, your hands were so she's all the way for me, you are all the way here on the right corner. So I just want to acknowledge them because these women are women who really invested, in themselves. They are incredible coaches as well. And just, I'm looking forward to hear what you guys have to share. Of course, that time at 7, I mean, we are running into the full hour. If any of you need to leave, then please feel free. I'm very grateful for you. Those of you who want to stay for another 10, 15 minutes, you are welcome here. And if you want to know more a little bit about the next webinar, just kind of Facebook message me or send me, a text, and I will be happy to let you know about the next one. I love you. And Fiona, you have the floor.
Thank you. So, I came on this call because, well, one, I wanted to come on something that you were doing. I didn't know that you ran immersions until after I think you'd filled your Florida one anyway, and because Florida is only an hour's flight away from me, and so I just wanted to find out a bit more about it. And like you, I started reading lots of books when I was about 18, and I was going to lots of retreats. But they were not yoga retreats, they were religious retreats or Christian retreats. And we used to go to so many, and it was just, we just loved going to them, me and my sister. And I've never been on a yoga retreat or a kind of non-religious retreat.
Mm,
And so, that's a space that I really want to explore, and I want to be able to do my own retreats, but I figure I need to go on other people's before I do my own. So that was really where I was coming from. And also just, hearing about how you run them and everything like
yeah.
that.
I would be happy just kind of, I didn't want to talk specifically, at this webinar, how the logistics, because there is a lot of just kind of, into it. But I'm just kind of, happy to create a very specific, container, for that,
Yeah.
so, wait for the announcement because, yeah, today I wanted to talk what it's like just kind of to have that experience. but definitely there is a place just kind of, about the whole.
You so much for doing this for everyone. And how I met Olga was through the AJC that we went to school together in 2024. And if there's anyone that can hold you in the highest and most loving container, it's Olga. And
Oh,
I haven't experienced her container just yet, but I've been around her long enough and have been on many, many calls, one-on-one and as in groups. And the one thing I can tell you is that she will hold you and hold a space for you that no other can do for you. And she has this beautiful gift of what I'd like to call, I'm borrowing it from a guy named Dave, but he calls it radical inquiry.
mm.
And she will help you move along in a way that she'll just like she'll blow everything up for you in a very good way.
Wow. I haven't painted her, you guys. I
No,
didn't
she
think that,
hasn't paid me.
but that's beautiful.
I
Wow.
consider Olga a good friend, and I think that one thing I can say is that if you ever have anything going on, she's the person to call.
Thank you so much. And I will, I
Without judgment, that's the thing.
Yeah. But
That's
back
the
at you,
place
because
above you
you
without
are
judgment.
also just kind of, you are absolutely incredible. She is a woman of just, an incredible courage, guys. She is very bold woman, Desiree. So write her name down and just kind of, find her on Facebook. It's fun to be in a conversation with her. She's an incredible creator. So thank you, Desiree. Thank you so much. I love you,
Love you
girl.
all.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye. Yes. Okay, Malia.
Sorry, it took me a second to unmute. So I am lucky enough to live relatively close to Olga, and we met at the AJC. And even though we've returned from all the in-person weekends, I wanted to reconnect with her, and so we met up for lunch last week, I guess it was, um, and obviously just the energy with which you were speaking about your immersion got me so curious. I wanted to learn more about it. And I really do think that something very special happens when women gather. And so you take this really specialness in women gathering, and then you add this magic of Olga. And I wanted to be a part of, whatever it was that you were creating, because you do create magic. And I wanted to come and hear more about what this is all about, because you just have such a gift. So thank you for giving us this time and space today.
Wow, thank you, Malia. That's very, very kind of you. And of course, we will be, in conversation, because it's so wonderful when you have somebody who has been, in a same type of a, creation and just kind of environment and the work that we do. And I'm so blessed that Malia actually just really lives driving distance from me, and we ended up in the same school that is in London. So yes, so that is so beautiful woman, guys. Malia, really just such a beautiful woman. Or us all, these people that you see, connect with them, because we need, as women, we really need community. We need connection. And more than anything else, in the really next, 5, 10 years and going forward, human connection, and it always has been, it's not something new, but with just, all the technology, AI, and, things that just kind of, we experience, in this, new realm of alive, where we all of us are in the 21st century, the human connection, and specific human connection, when actually the people can really connect on the really intimate heart level, is going to be just the greatest treasure that we can have. Because many times people even meet, in spaces, you know, they go to schools or they go to churches and still they can just kind of feel by themselves. They just don't feel like they connect. So there is an art to create that, but it's also really important to create just kind of your own community and your own board, like each of us needs to have, Malia, she has her own board of just kind of, people who, can help her, just like Fiona, just like Karen, just like Patricia, Desiree, Lily, Barbara, Ginger, Marilyn, Karen, Jessica. This is what the life is about, that we have our families, and our families are just kind of, very, you know, essential part to just kind of, where we are coming from. And then you really also need to have this board of directors, for, creation of who you are so that it can help you just kind of and sustain you and help you to build just kind of, the life that you want, and also be powerful leaders, be powerful mothers, be powerful just kind of, influences within your families. You are the CEOs, in your own just kind of, environment that it's called just kind of your family. And I have my board, my board, of course, just kind of, family. I will not come into it because that's something very sacred and important to me. Yet I have my physical trainer. I had just kind of my yoga trainer. Believe it or not, I'm a yogi, but I have one from India. Okay. I have my coach. Okay. I cannot tell you, oh, okay, I will coach you and I don't have any coach. Like that's kind of like, what are you doing? Right. So I have nutritionists, so I have all different kind of people around me who have been helping me just, to grow and just kind of, have that support that it's really important for me to just go forward and have it. And we, each of us can, create it. It's not a matter of how much of money you have. It's just kind of more willingness to open up yourself to people who know more, who can uplift you more, because what you create around yourself is really important. Just if you look at the friends and people that you have around you, it tells a lot about who you are. And so if you have people around you who just kind of, are not people who are helping you to build you up, find new people, people who have a vibration of being that is helping you to be more love, to be more peace, to be more joy. And that's what I have been doing. That's what I have been creating. I'm at that point in my life, just kind of usually people say, we as women, most of our friends come, when were in high schools or elementary schools, and maybe when you get in a college, maybe, but it stops. Because then you have, each of you doing different things. You have your families or you have your, careers, you have your things, and it's just, women say it's so difficult in my age to find really close friends. That's a story that I would love to change, just kind of, if anything else, you will leave this call with. I want to encourage you to really reach out to people who inspire you, who uplift you. Just get to know them. Tell them, hey, I really would love to talk to you. I really would like to see what you are doing. I love and admire, things just kind of that you are creating. Be curious. Be in those spaces. Because that's what the life is about. What you create as just kind of not only your board then and your community is going to create the level of the life you will be living. I must say that in my age, I don't have too many people of my age being my friends. Most of my friends are about 20, 30, or 40 years younger than I am. And then I have people who are 10 years older than I am, but they are badasses, if I may say that. So it's meaning, what do I mean by that? that they're really just kind of, are deliberate, just kind of the way also they are living. Because as you know, just kind of, as people go, when you are with 20 years old, they will be talking about completely different topics than when you meet people who are 70. Those will be first talking about everything what's happening with their bodies, doctor appointments, right? 20 years old, about the boyfriends and everything. When you are about 35, all about the kids, right? And that's all part of the life. There's nothing wrong about it. But as you especially are going into what I call launching the third act, when you become, just kind of, empty nesters, or when you become just kind of in that part of the life that you don't have to just kind of, do all the jobs and everything, when there is a time to just kind of really beautifully just, blossom as this beautiful flower that has just kind of so much of depth, so much of beauty that the world needs to feel. I want you to know, dear women, everyone around you needs to feel you, needs to feel your heart, needs to feel how you love, needs to feel how you experience and talk about joy. This is what, life is really, really, truly about. So I would like to encourage you, each of you, after this call, just reach out, if you don't have anybody, reach out to me. Okay? But if you just don't have, if you have some people, reach out to them, text them right there, just kind of, write down at least 2 names of people, especially women, who you would like today reach out and just send them texts and say, hello, hey, we haven't talked for a long time. How are you doing? Okay? Create that connection, because that's what it's the container to be around Olga. It's about action. There is one thing that we have had, and I finished with that in a school. Each year when I'm in this coaching school, I have this thing that I give every single participant. It's my gift, little just kind of rubber band, right? So the first year when it was just kind of, doubt the doubt. Doubt the doubt. That was just kind of the first year. This year, I just kind of, have given be event action. So this is also event. Everything is event. Your breakfast at home is event. Be event action. And what it means is just create something. Create something that is beautiful. If it's a conversation with the person who is sitting just, next to you at the table, or when it's just kind of a person in a store who might be upset and just need some uplift, be event action. So I will close it because I don't want to go any overtime. But if any of you want to just kind of, talk to me, please just reach out to me. You know how to connect with me because you came here. Okay. So you know how to find me. Next one is going to be on June 16 at noon Easter time. So just that's, I'm on East Coast. If you want to come, it will be very different, And also, if you are interested, I will be hosting in Maryland, in Knoxville, Maryland, which is by Mount Airy. I will be hosting the women's immersion that will be September 9th through 12th. So it's Wednesday through Saturday. So I can talk about it a little bit more. I love you guys. You can unmute yourself. And if you want to, let's just send everybody just kind of little hearts if you know how to do it. Let's do it now. 3, 2, 1, let's go. You can unmute yourself, guys. I love you so much. And I cannot wait to get to know some of you who I have never met before more. So bye, Karen. Bye, Marilyn. Lily, we haven't
Thanks,
talked for
Olga.
that. I would love to kind of talk to you. Fiona, Ginger, Patricia, Malia, Karen, thank you guys. Have a nice rest of today. I love you.
Olga, thank you.
Thank you, Olga.
Thank you.
Lovely call.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so much.
much.
Okay, bye-bye.